It wasn't as if I'd gone looking for it. That phone bill wasn't supposed to be there, and it wasn't supposed to be mine to look at. She was careful, always so careful, never leaving a trace of her private life where it could be easily seen. But that day, it sat on the kitchen counter, half hidden under a magazine, like a secret barely concealed. Maybe she thought I wouldn't notice. Maybe she was just in a rush. Or maybe she'd grown too comfortable in our routine, too sure that I'd never question her. I stared at the unopened envelope for what felt like forever. A faint, nagging voice in the back of my mind told me to leave it alone. It wasn't my business. I didn't have any reason not to trust her. She'd always been honest, always open about where she went, who she saw, how her days played out. At least, that's what I'd believed. But something about that envelope, the way it lay there so casually, felt wrong. She never let me see her phone bill. Every time it arrived, she'd tuck it away before I even knew it was there. I never thought twice about it, until now. It was just one bill, a thin strip of paper, ordinary in every way except for the strange pull it had on me. My hand hovered over it. I hesitated. Then, before I could talk myself out of it, I opened it. At first, it seemed normal. The usual charges, a few texts here and there, calls to her family. I skimmed the numbers, not really sure what I was looking for. But then I saw it. A number I didn't recognize. Repeated, night after night, at the same time. It wasn't just a one-off. It was a pattern. Every evening at 11:34, she called this number. Long calls, sometimes an hour, sometimes more. And it wasn't mine. My stomach tightened as I stared at the page. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was work-related. Maybe it was a friend she hadn't told me about. But why every night? Why never mention it? I racked my brain, trying to think of anyone she could be calling at that hour, anyone she'd mentioned recently. But nothing fit. My mind kept circling back to the same unsettling thought, she'd been hiding this from me. I told myself to stop overreacting. Maybe there was a simple explanation. But the questions wouldn't stop. Who was she talking to? Why hadn't she told me? And why did she never let me see her phone bill before? My heart started to race. I felt a mixture of guilt and suspicion, a gnawing doubt I couldn't shake. When she came home that evening, I couldn't look at her the same way. She greeted me with a smile, the same warm smile I'd seen 1,000 times, but now it felt different. Forced. I watched her as she moved around the kitchen, setting down her bag, pouring herself a glass of water. I wanted to ask her. I wanted to hold up the bill and demand an explanation. But the words caught in my throat. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice light and casual. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Just tired." She nodded, sipping her water. "Long day?" Something like that. I watched her carefully, looking for any sign that she knew I'd seen it. But she was as calm and collected as always. There was no hint of guilt, no nervousness. If she was hiding something, she was good at it. I didn't confront her that night. I told myself I needed time to think, to figure out how to approach it. But the truth was, I wasn't ready to hear her answer. I wasn't ready to find out who she was talking to every night and why she hadn't told me. I wasn't ready to face the possibility that our relationship wasn't as solid as I'd thought. The envelope sat on my desk, the bill tucked neatly back inside. I glanced at it again before going to bed, the question still swirling in my mind. I didn't know what to do with it, what to do with this new piece of information that changed everything. For the first time, I found myself doubting her, doubting the trust we'd built together. As I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, I realized I couldn't let it go. I needed to know. But I also needed to be careful. One wrong step could shatter the fragile sense of normalcy that still lingered between us. I couldn't bring myself to confront her outright, not yet. Instead, I resolved to wait, to watch, to see if she would slip up. Maybe then, I'd get the answers I needed. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of detachment, as if I had woken into someone else's life. She was already up, moving around the kitchen, humming faintly while the coffee brewed. I could smell it, rich and comforting, but it didn't settle me the way it usually did. Nothing about our morning routine felt normal. The simple, everyday rhythm that I'd never questioned now felt hollow, like a play we were both performing without acknowledging the missing pieces. She smiled when she saw me come in. "Morning," she said, her tone as warm as ever. "Morning," I replied, keeping my voice steady. I sat down at the table and stared at the mug she'd placed in front of me. The coffee swirled lazily, its surface rippling as I picked it up. I tried to sip it, tried to make it feel like just another morning. But the envelope was still on my desk upstairs, and every time I glanced at her, I saw the same question in my mind: why hadn't she told me about the calls? Big plans for the day? She asked, her back turned as she poured herself a second cup. Not really, I said. Just the usual. You? She shrugged. Meetings, emails, maybe lunch with a coworker. Nothing exciting. I watched her closely, looking for any sign that she was holding something back. But her movements were fluid, natural. She didn't seem tense or nervous. She didn't glance at her phone or avoid my gaze. If she was hiding something, she was doing an excellent job of it. And maybe that's what bothered me the most: how ordinary she seemed. How normal. The doubt had wormed its way into my thoughts, and now, every little detail felt like a potential clue. Did she always leave her phone face down on the counter, or was that new? Had she always been so quick to change the subject when I asked about her day? I couldn't remember anymore. I couldn't tell if I was noticing something different or if my own mind was creating it. I tried to keep my tone casual as I said, I saw the phone bill yesterday. Her hand froze for just a moment before she set her mug down. Oh? Is everything okay? Yeah, I said quickly. I just noticed it on the counter. Thought maybe you'd left it out for me to look at. She turned, her smile faint. No, I just forgot to put it away. Why? I shrugged. No reason. Just curious. Her smile stayed in place, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. It's nothing, really. Just the usual stuff. You know how boring those bills are. I nodded, but I didn't believe her. My stomach churned as I thought about the number I'd seen, the same one repeated night after night. I wanted to ask her about it, to press her for an explanation, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the way she carried herself, so confident and self-assured. Or maybe it was the fear that her answer would confirm what I was already starting to suspect. She left for work not long after, kissing me lightly on the cheek before grabbing her bag and heading out the door. I watched her go, the familiar sound of her car starting up and pulling away. Once the house was quiet, I went upstairs and pulled out the envelope again. The number stared back at me, as if daring me to figure it out. I pulled out my phone and dialed it, half hoping no one would answer. But after a few rings, a voicemail picked up, generic, no name, just a recorded message asking me to leave a number. I hung up quickly, my heart pounding. I hadn't expected anything different, but the fact that it wasn't a recognized contact, wasn't a familiar voice, only deepened my unease. I couldn't let it go. Not now. I started combing through old phone records, searching for patterns, trying to see if that number appeared anywhere else. It didn't. It was new, something recent, something that hadn't been there before. That only made it worse. If this was just a harmless work call, why hadn't she told me about it? Why hadn't she mentioned staying late to talk to a colleague, or needing to sort out a project after hours? I spent most of the morning poring over the records, flipping through pages, cross-referencing dates and times. The more I looked, the clearer it became, she'd been calling that number every night for weeks. Always late, always around the same time. And always for long stretches, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, sometimes even longer. I tried to come up with explanations. Maybe it was a relative she hadn't told me about, someone she wanted to reconnect with. Maybe it was a friend going through a tough time. But deep down, I knew that wasn't it. She would have said something. She would have mentioned it. And she never did. When she came home that evening, I had to fight the urge to bring it up again. I knew I couldn't keep dancing around the issue, but I wasn't ready to confront her directly. Not yet. Instead, I watched her carefully, paying attention to the way she moved, the way she spoke. She seemed relaxed, at ease, even cheerful as she told me about her day. But every word she said felt hollow. Every smile felt like a mask. I waited until she went to bed before I opened the bill one more time. The number was there, just like before, and I stared at it until my vision blurred. I still didn't know what it meant, but I knew it wasn't something I could ignore. The next day, I told myself to let it go. I told myself to stop digging, stop overthinking, stop letting that number consume my thoughts. I even promised myself that I'd let it lie, that I'd trust her and give her the benefit of the doubt. But the moment I saw her pick up her phone that evening, I knew I'd never be able to let it rest. We were sitting on the couch, her scrolling through her emails while I flipped through channels. I wasn't paying attention to the TV, I hadn't really been paying attention to anything except her. Every little action, every time she picked up her phone, every time she looked away, felt like a new layer of doubt. I hated myself for thinking that way. She'd never given me a reason to doubt her before. But now, all I could see were those late-night calls to that unknown number. "Hey," I said, my voice casual. Who have you been talking to at night? She glanced at me, her face a perfect mask of confusion. What do you mean? I mean, the number on the phone bill, I said. I noticed it the other day. You call it every night. She set her phone down slowly, her brow furrowed. I don't know what you're talking about. You do, I said, my tone firmer now. It's there. Every single night, same time, same number. Who is it? She stared at me for a moment, her mouth opening slightly before she closed it again. You're looking at my phone bill, she finally asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. You never let me see it, I said, my chest tightening. But it was there, out on the counter. I didn't go searching for it. I saw it. Her eyes narrowed, a flicker of something, anger, maybe, crossing her face. You went through my phone records? I didn't go through anything, I said quickly. It was right there. I couldn't help but notice. She shook her head, crossing her arms. I can't believe you would do that. You know I value my privacy. I know, I said, my voice softer now. But I saw it. And it's not just once or twice. It's every night. She looked away, her jaw tightening. It's nothing, she muttered. It's not nothing, I said. You've been hiding it. You've been calling someone every night, and you never said a word about it. That's not nothing. Her silence stretched, the space between us growing heavier with every passing second. It's just a friend, she said finally, her voice low. Who? I asked. What friend? Someone from work, she said. It's not a big deal. Then why didn't you tell me? I asked. Why keep it a secret? I didn't think I had to explain every call I make, she said sharply. You're making this into something it's not. I'm not making it into anything, I said. I'm asking because it feels like you're hiding something. I'm not hiding anything, she said, standing up suddenly. I can't believe we're having this conversation. I thought you trusted me. I thought I did too, I said, rising to my feet. But now I'm not so sure. Her face fell, her shoulders slumping as she looked down at the floor. I don't know what you want me to say, she said softly. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the calls. But it's nothing serious. It's just a friend. If it's nothing serious, I said, then why do you call them every single night? She hesitated, and in that moment, I knew there was more she wasn't telling me. I could see it in her eyes, the way she avoided my gaze, the way her hands fidgeted. She was hiding something, something she wasn't ready to admit. I can't do this right now, she said finally, turning away. I need some space. I watched her walk out of the room, my heart pounding. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust her. But the doubt was there, stronger than ever. And no matter how much I tried to push it aside, it refused to go away. The tension between us was becoming unbearable. I could see it in the way she avoided meeting my eyes, in how her laughter sounded forced, like she was trying too hard to make things feel normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Everything about our relationship had shifted, and I couldn't tell if it was just me or if she felt it too. She stopped leaving her phone out where I could see it. Before, she used to set it on the counter, next to her coffee mug, or leave it on the table while she went to grab something from the other room. Now it was always in her hand, always close by, always just out of reach. That small change alone made my stomach twist in ways I couldn't explain. When we spoke, it was as if we were walking on eggshells, tiptoeing around the subject. She kept saying she needed space, but she didn't leave. Instead, she hovered at a distance, her presence a constant reminder that something was wrong. I caught her watching me out of the corner of her eye, as if she were waiting for me to bring it up again. But I didn't. I didn't know how. I didn't know what to say that I hadn't already said. One night, after she went to bed, I sat in the living room with the phone bill in front of me. The number stood out like a bright red flag, the calls listed in a neat, unbroken column. I stared at it, trying to piece together the story it was telling. Every night, always at the same time. Long calls. Sometimes an hour, sometimes more. If it was nothing, why hadn't she just said so? Why hadn't she told me who it was and why she needed to talk to them every single night? The logical part of me told me to stop obsessing. Maybe it really was just a friend, someone going through a hard time, someone who needed her support. Maybe it had nothing to do with me. But the other part of me, the part that couldn't let it go, knew better. If it were that simple, why would she hide it? I couldn't sit still anymore. The silence in the house was too much. I grabbed my phone and dialed the number again, just like I had before. The phone rang, and my heart raced. I wasn't sure what I'd do if someone picked up. What would I say? How would I even explain why I was calling? But once again, the call went to voicemail. The same generic message. No name. No voice I recognized. I hung up quickly, feeling like I was trapped in a loop. I knew I wouldn't get answers this way, but I couldn't stop myself from trying. When she came into the living room the next morning, she looked at me with a mix of hesitation and concern. "You didn't come to bed last night," she said, her voice soft. "I couldn't sleep," I said, which wasn't a lie. She nodded, sitting down across from me. "You've been distant lately." I almost laughed at that. Me? Distant? She was the one hiding her phone bill, calling the same number every night, shutting me out whenever I tried to ask about it. But I didn't say that. Instead, I just looked at her and said, "I've had a lot on my mind." She tilted her head, her eyes searching mine. "What's going on?" That question caught me off guard. Was she serious? Did she really think I hadn't noticed the late-night calls, the secrecy, the sudden shift in her behavior? I wanted to tell her everything, to demand the truth, to lay all my suspicions on the table. But instead, I just shook my head. "I don't know," I said. "I'm just tired." Her face softened, and she reached out to touch my hand. "If something's bothering you, you can tell me. I'm here." I pulled my hand away, not out of anger, but because I couldn't stand the weight of her touch. It felt like a lie, like she was pretending everything was fine. "I know," I said, even though I wasn't sure if I believed it anymore. She looked hurt, but she didn't push further. "If you ever want to talk, just let me know," she said before getting up and heading to the kitchen. I watched her go, my chest tight with unspoken words. I didn't know how to talk to her anymore. I didn't know how to ask the questions that were tearing me apart inside. And as I sat there, staring at the same phone bill that had haunted me for days, I realized something. I wasn't sure I wanted to know the answers. I couldn't keep living in that suspended state of half-truths and unanswered questions. Every moment we spent in the same room felt like an invisible wall had gone up between us. The silence wasn't just uncomfortable, it was loud, deafening, a constant reminder of what neither of us wanted to say. That night, as she scrolled through her phone on the couch, I found myself unable to sit still. The TV was on, but I couldn't tell you what was playing. I couldn't concentrate on anything except her and the screen she kept glancing at, as though she were waiting for something. My stomach tightened each time I saw the glow of her phone light up. I couldn't take it anymore. "Who are you talking to?" I blurted out, unable to keep it bottled up. Her head snapped up, and she looked at me, surprised. "What are you talking about?" "Every night," I said, leaning forward, the words spilling out in a rush. "Every night you call the same number. You think I haven't noticed? You think I don't see how you keep your phone close now, how you don't leave it lying around? Who is it?" She froze for a moment, her hand gripping the phone a little tighter. "I've told you already," she said quietly. "It's a friend. Someone from work." "Then why hide it?" I demanded. "If it's just a friend, why not tell me? Why the secrecy? Why the sudden change in how you handle your phone? You've never been like this before." She hesitated, her mouth opening and closing like she was searching for the right words. Finally, she said, "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're keeping something from me. And if it's nothing, if it's really just a friend, then why does it feel like you don't trust me enough to be honest?" Her eyes dropped to her lap, and she took a deep breath. "I don't know how to explain it," she said. "Try," I shot back. "Just try, because I'm running out of patience. I've been sitting here for days, waiting for you to tell me what's going on, and all I get is vague answers and deflections. I deserve more than that." She looked up at me then, and for the first time, I saw something raw in her expression. It wasn't anger or defensiveness, it was fear. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice trembling. "I didn't mean to make it seem like I was hiding something. It's complicated." I ran a hand through my hair, frustration bubbling over. "You keep saying that, but you're not giving me anything to go on. Who is it? What's complicated? Is it a coworker? A friend? Someone I don't know? Because right now, it feels like you're just avoiding the truth." Her eyes glistened, and she bit her lip. "It's someone from my past," she said finally. "Someone I haven't talked to in a long time. And it's not what you think." "What do I think, then?" I asked, my voice low, almost shaking. She hesitated, her hands twisting in her lap. I know how it looks, but it's not like that. They've been going through something difficult, and I just wanted to be there for them. Why didn't you tell me that? I asked, my chest tight. Why keep it a secret? If it's innocent, why not just say, hey, I'm helping an old friend through a rough time? That's all you had to do. But you didn't. You hid it. And now I don't know what to believe. She looked at me with a mix of guilt and sadness. Because I was afraid you'd think the worst. I was afraid you wouldn't understand. Maybe I would have, I admitted. But this? The way you handled it? That's what made me suspicious. Not the calls, not the number, this. The way you shut me out, the way you acted like it was something I didn't need to know. That's what hurts the most. Her shoulders sagged, and she let out a shaky breath. I'm sorry, she said softly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't know how to tell you without making it worse. I stared at her, my emotions tangled and raw. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust that it was just an old friend, just a complicated situation she'd handled poorly. But part of me couldn't shake the lingering doubt. Part of me wondered if there was more she still wasn't telling me. And as we sat there in the heavy silence, I realized that trust isn't something you can rebuild overnight. Even if she was telling the truth, even if her intentions were pure, the damage was done. The foundation we'd built our relationship on had been cracked, and it would take more than an apology to fix it.